Hi guys, Pleasance here from Little Om Yoga, and today we're going to talk about starting your own home yoga practice. So many of you have heard me talk about how much I love to practice yoga at home and how important I think it is to our relationship with our yoga practice and really helping it be a part of our wellness routine, our self-care routines, and making our yoga practice sustainable for the rest of our lives. So, things to consider for your home practice. Number one, carve out a space. So, we're in my basement here where I've created a little bit of a yoga studio with some of our little own props. And I really believe in sacred space. I really believe in having energetically a place where you can practice regularly. So carving out a space in your home, it can be, before I had this space, I had just a mat and some props right next to my bed. There was a little space. I've seen people do it in closets. I've seen people do it in the side of a living room or in a spare room. So right now, just take a minute to think about where might I be able to lay out my yoga mat and maybe have a bolster or a blanket or a block and be able to keep it in that space. So the first thing is finding a space. The second thing for consistency while you're building your love of your home practice is commit to a day and a time. So right now, maybe your home practice should be Tuesdays at 6 a.m. And every Tuesday at 6 a.m. you show up for yourself for your practice. What I've noticed with some of my students is that once they get that on the calendar and they start showing up for themselves and they see how different their day feels when they start the day with yoga or how wonderful their sleep is when they end the day with yoga, they tend to do it more. So I always say start less and start with a practice that you can really commit to. Maybe 2 days a week, maybe 1 day a week. And again, instead of saying I'm going to practice 7 days a week for 90 minutes, maybe just start with 2 days a week for 15 minutes and see how that feels. Develop that relationship and that curiosity. You want to stay engaged with your practice. And doing it in more regularly in short time frames is great. It really sends a lot of messages to the brain that you're building this habit, you're going to show up for yourself, put it in your calendar, set an alert, and make it be an appointment with yourself that you do not want to miss. And so that is a really important part of setting up your practice. Eventually, over time, as you develop the craving for the movement, as you see your yoga practice start to show up in all ways of your life, you may start to add it at the morning and the night. That's really ideal, bookending the day, sort of starting the day with some moving and breathing and sitting, and ending the day with some moving, breathing, and sitting. And doing that as much as possible. But listen, it can take years to develop that kind of commitment to practice, that kind of dedication. And also, the season of our life will really play into it. Some of you may have small children at home and you're not sleeping a lot at night and you're exhausted. So morning practice may not be an option for you right now. Maybe it's more lunchtime, midday, maybe when the kiddos are taking naps, or at night after you've put the kids to bed, and then instead of watching like 3 shows on Netflix, maybe you could just roll out your mat for even 10 minutes. You can still watch 1 show on Netflix, and then you can still get a little bit of your yoga practice in. So time, commitment, space, and then here's the big question. Now what do I do? So many of you have been practicing yoga for a long time. You have all the skills and the tools you need. My recommendations for safety are breath first. So use your breath to guide your practice and really feel the poses as they come into the body. If you have no experience with yoga at all, then I highly recommend taking a Yoga 1 series, Intro to Yoga series, Yoga 101. You can find them in your local yoga studios. You can find them online. You can find them at libraries. You can find them in your communities, but you can also find them There's lots of online resources now. You can go into YouTube and find yoga classes. You can go to Yoga Glow, Yoga International, Yoga Journal. Literally, if you Google online yoga classes, you will find paid subscriptions, free classes. It's everywhere. You just have to seek out a teacher, a practice, some ideas. There's some basic practices on our Little Om Yoga Vimeo site, Vimeo, where you found this. And there's also some on our YouTube page. We have both. So you have lots of resources provided to you. You just have to go out and search for them. But what I want you to move away from, like, that's really for beginners. That's really for people who don't know the poses, who come to the mat and they sit down and they say, I don't know what to do. That is where you might Google some classes, or you might go and take some classes to get you started. Those of you who've been practicing yoga for any length of time, or dance or movement and Pilates, and you have a sense of your body and movement and just breathing and stretching, can be a really organic practice. You can turn on some music if you really like music, like I do in this space. It's great. I can turn on some nice loud music, anything that I'm sort of feeling, from rock to jazz to soul to Motown to, I love dance music. So sometimes I have my yoga practice with my dance music. So I just encourage you to make it fun, make it joyful, make it interesting, make it beautiful, and make it authentic to who you are and what you need. So sometimes my yoga practice literally looks like me laying down and breathing, just lifting and lowering, or lifting and lowering, and lift and lower, for maybe 10, 20 breaths. And maybe I get a little happy baby or roll around on my back. I can take some twists. A lot of my practices are just laying down on my back and rolling around and taking movements there. There's also lots of series that you can do seated, right? Going this way and that, forward and back, taking twists here, twist there. Okay, so lots of movement. You don't have to have it so rigid. If you like standing poses, or you don't do a lot of running, I'm trying to think of some really young, like really active exercises that you might do. Running, walking, soul cycle or spin classes, solid core, Pilates, bar, all of those, you're getting a lot of that really young energy. Most of my students and the people I work with have that part of their exercise routine really solid. So the real gift is that the yoga practice can really complement that by being very grounding. You don't have to do a lot of standing poses to complement that really that exertion that you're putting out in your other exercise. So stay tuned I'll be creating a few more of these videos to help you in your home practice. If you have questions, if you watch this and you're like, that was great, I'd love to do it, but, and you have a big excuse or a reason why or some kind of barrier, please email me, pleasance@littleom.com, so I can help you in an upcoming video really address what the challenges are that you're facing. So I wish you well in your home practice. I can't wait to hear how it goes. Not only send me the challenges that you're facing, but I also want to hear your wins, and I want to hear how your practice is going for you. Namaste.